from the heart.
Alright, so welcome back to Horror from the Heart, episode 2. Sorry I didn't get you guys last week, but I wasn't feeling too good. Started some new medication and stuff like that, so it was basically having to take a lot of time to try and adjust and get used to it, and it's been okay. I mean, like, I'm not having the tremors and stuff like that, but you guys aren't here for listening to my health stuff. You guys are here to listen to me rant and ramble on about horror type of stuff. So if you follow me on TikTok, you have noticed that I've been trying to do like kind of a weekly thing. So I'll find whatever subject it is, and then I'll talk about it for the entire week. And then, jump on here and then do a little bit more talking about it. Because like on my little TikToks and stuff like that, I'm basically just putting out facts and things like that. Whereas this is more kind of like a discussion and stuff like that. Because it's like, it is one of those whole thing of me just sitting here talking about horror stuff this whole entire time. You know why? Because there's so much out there when it comes to horror that I could go on and on and on and on and on, because there are so many different things as far as like books and movies and comics and cartoons and I mean like everything in between, I mean like even like little stories and stuff like that that we find on YouTube or we find in Reddit, wherever it is that we're getting our horror content. I mean there's tons of stuff out there. So this week though, I had been talking about Ed and Lorraine Warren. Now I know with that one we have like the Conjuring movies that had come out because it mainly focused on Ed and Lorraine Warren and the investigations that they ended up doing, because supposedly they have done about 10,000 different little investigations, which I know there's controversy when it comes around to that kind of thing because there's people out there who say that they've been proven to be fakes and that they're not really these major investigators the way they say they have been. But I mean, like, if you look at a lot of the kind of paranormal stuff that is out there, as far as like checking out like Ghost Adventures or any of the shows like that that do like, we're gonna go investigate this haunted or supposedly haunted prison or hospital or something like that, a lot of those things are really mired in a lot of controversy as far as whether or not it's real, whether or not this is stuff that has actually happened, because of the simple fact that there's a lot of skeptics out there. And yes, there are ones out there that do take the time to like alter whatever video footage or manufacture stuff, especially when it comes to like doing like the TV shows and stuff like that. I mean, like you're watching the TV show because you want to be able to see something. So I'm not saying that a lot of those shows actually did that kind of thing, but at the same time, it's kind of like you have to create some kind of atmosphere too, right? So I'm pretty sure there are some of those ones that have done things to make things seem more intense than what they are. But Ed and Lorraine Warren didn't do that kind of stuff. They actually went out there and did investigations in different places. I mean, like, heck, look at the Amityville Horror. There was a lot of controversy with the Amityville haunting that had happened with the Lutz family and stuff like that. I mean, heck, the main guy had actually, like, wanted to, do the movies and stuff like that, but he was upset with the fact of how things had gone, and as far as like franchising kind of deal, like he was pissed off about that. So it kind of makes you wonder whether or not that actually happened because of just how upset he got with just not being able to make money off of it, because that is one of those things where you have a lot of people out there who that's what they're looking for. They're looking for the fame, they're looking for the fortune, and it's not about what's actually happening and trying to prove that things are haunted or prove that things are actually there. It's more about the aspect of what kind of fame and fortune can I get off of this kind of stuff. And then there's a lot of people out there who believe like Ed and Lorraine Warren did that kind of thing, because if you look into like the history of them, like today, was talking about it was the fact that they actually did like landscape paintings and stuff like that. So if you listen to what Lorraine Warren had to say, she had actually said that she didn't think that they would actually be doing paranormal investigations whenever they first got together. She actually thought that they would probably be artists and be making their money doing that kind of thing. But, like Ed would actually find like haunted places in the newspaper. So, I mean, different times and stuff like that. So he'd find things like that, and he'd go over to whatever haunted place or supposedly haunted place and like sketch the place out, and then take it and give it to the owner if they could actually give them information as far as like what's going on. And if they found that the story was like really compelling, they would actually take the time to paint whatever place it was and then turn around and sell the artwork. And they're also very well known for collecting a lot of, supposedly haunted objects. I mean, we have the Annabelle movies and stuff like that that are out there. And of course, they did their best to try and make that doll a lot creepier in the way it looks compared to how it actually is. I mean, like it was like, what, a Raggedy Ann doll, if I remember right. It wasn't even like this creepy little porcelain looking doll, and they're trying to do a whole bunch of history by making up stuff basically to give a backstory for this thing. I honestly don't think I can't remember offhand, but I honestly don't think that there was actual like a whole lot of details behind the Annabelle doll. I'd have to check into it because it's been a while since I've really looked into that kind of stuff. And of course, just because the fact that I do have to kind of put that kind of stuff out there, with everything that had been going on with me as far as health and stuff like that, it's kind of hard to remember certain things. So I'm trying to keep myself up to date and trying to get that brain power back up there and stuff like that, because it is that whole thing of just like, it's been difficult. Let's just put it that way. It's been difficult trying to deal with certain things and concentration and all that kind of stuff. So forgive me if I don't remember if there was an Annabelle backstory, an actual Annabelle backstory. But Ed and Lorraine Warren had actually collected like a whole bunch of different haunted objects that were either gifted to them or they requested them in a lot of different ways. And they actually have an occult museum too, which their daughter Judy runs. So like it was actually based out of their home that they would actually, have people go over there and go check this place out, because they have a lot of them just on display sitting in this room. And then they'd actually have some of them that were kind of like locked up because supposedly, whatever would run around. Now, like you have like the Annabelle doll that's there, but there's tons of other dolls too that are supposedly haunted that, I don't think that they've collected quite a few of the dolls, but I don't think they've collected like a whole complete set. It wasn't like Pokemon gotta catch them all type of thing. It was more just in that whole aspect of just being able to collect all these different little haunted objects and trying to do everything they can to validate a lot of the paranormal stuff. Now, sadly, Ed and Lorraine Warren have both passed away. Lorraine ended up passing away back in 2019, and honestly, I cannot remember when Ed passed away, but it's been a while since he had passed away. So, we can't sit there and ask any kind of other questions and things like that, but there's tons of people out there who had said that a lot of the stuff that they did was false, or a lot of the stuff that they did was fake. That Lorraine has been proven to not be able to manifest the thoughts or no thoughts, but that kind of like being able to sense paranormal stuff or be able to have like the gifts that she did. And there's plenty of people out there because I'm just doing facts throughout this week on the TikTok thing, and I have literally have people who have been like, well, Ed Warren was trash and da 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 this, and it's like I'm not saying that they were great people. I'm just talking about what had happened, and like the actual facts when it comes to that kind of stuff. That's one of the reasons why I'm talking about it like on here, is because there is a lot of controversy when it came down to it, and I mean, it's not just with like Ed and Lorraine Warren. There was a lot of controversy when it came to any of the paranormal investigation type of things, simply because there's tons of people out there who just downright believe that a lot of that stuff is fake. Now, me myself, I am a believer in the paranormal and things like that, because there are things that happen that are unexplained. Now, granted, it's one of those kind of things where, like, I was kind of having this discussion yesterday where, excuse me, you have a lot of people out there who have their own stories. And I know these kind of stories have existed since time immemorial, because it's stuff that we just can't believe, or we've created stories that have this fantasy and stuff like that to them, to either scare children straight or to just kind of freak each other out. But there's always that whole thing of there's always a modicum of truth to whatever story is out there. So for me, I am a believer in the paranormal, because there are things out there that we can't explain that have happened, and there are things out there that, people have investigated that, like, you can't explain. You just can't explain, and there's not a lot of stuff out there that is actual, like, video evidence or anything like that, because tons of people like to alter videos, and especially nowadays when everybody has the ability to be able to jump onto the computer and just alter whatever, like I know me myself, it's like I don't really have the skills to be able to put together some kind of movie thing or anything like that. My video editing skills are not that great, but there are tons of people out there who can do that kind of stuff, and they make this stuff, and especially with how we have things today, can make that stuff absolutely believable. But it's been proven fake. So it's like, it's kind of one of those things right there where it's like there's always a modicum of truth behind stories of that kind of nature. So to sit there and have somebody like Ed and Lorraine Warren, and you're going to tell me that every little thing that they checked into, or every little thing that they ever did was fake, I'm going to be a little skeptical when it comes to that kind of thing, simply because it is that whole aspect of, yeah, there's people out there who like to do the whole snake oil salesman type of thing, and they're going to sell you on whatever lie it is. But the amount of stuff that they have dealt with, the amount of stuff that they have collected, the amount of stuff that they have investigated, there's something there. At least in my opinion, there is something there to really kind of show that kind of thing. But I mean, again, that's my own personal opinion. Whether you're the type of person who absolutely thinks that these people were complete frauds and all they did was kick back and basically be shysters and con people out of money, that's your own opinion, because that is my opinion as far as like what I think on that kind of thing, but if you really take the time to like look into the stuff that they did, they never charged for any of the investigations that they did. They actually just did the investigations. They actually made their money going to lectures and speaking at colleges and things like that, and selling rights for, whatever stories it is that they collected, so it's like, it is that kind of thing right there where it's like, most investigators are going to try and charge when it comes to that kind of thing. Well, I'm going to charge you so much in order to come check and even possibly let you know whether or not your place might be haunted or this object might be haunted, but they didn't do that kind of stuff. Now, it is one of those things where you talk to anybody who has ever met, like, Lorraine Warren, and the majority of those people, and, like, I don't think I've ever heard anybody really actually say anything, like, bad about her. Pretty much anybody that I've heard from has said that she's a great person. She was very loving, very caring, and very kind and everything, and she loved talking about that kind of stuff. So it's kind of one of those things, too, on top of that, it's like where I know, a wolf can always wear sheep's clothing and stuff like that. But again, at the same time, it's like, if you're going to keep up that kind of a charade, why keep up that kind of charade that long? Especially when you have people who are trying to say this is false, this is fake. and then continue to do that kind of stuff and continue to produce that kind of thing. Because most times, most people, whoever ends up having that kind of stuff happen to them and they get proven false or whatever it is, they genuinely drop that kind of thing. They will stop and say, okay, no, hey, you got me, whatever. Or they'll find whatever different little avenue, change names, whatever it is, to try and continue on doing whatever shiesty business that they wanted to. But they stuck with it, so it's kind of one of those things right there where, again, that kind of, in my opinion, puts that out there and says, there's something there. There's got to be something there, because, I mean, that's one of the reasons why, people like me, and of course, if you're probably listening to this, you get into the whole horror aspect of things, that we believe in stuff like that, because there are things out there in the world that we cannot explain. There are things, that absolutely terrify us or shock us in so many different ways that produce this horror element. That's why we get into this kind of stuff. And then you have people like Ed and Lorraine Warren, where they do all these things, and it's fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating because of how they investigated stuff, the stories that they would come back with to talk about, and the other people who have been able to experience some of the, chaos, mayhem, whatever you want to call it, that Ed and Lorraine had been able to experience. Because it's like, kind of like that whole thing of people who have said they've been around the Annabelle doll feel like they could feel some kind of a presence there, like something was going on. So it is, it's an interesting thing. Whether or not you believe that they were, frauds or whatever it was, or you believe that they were, true blue, paranormal investigators and being able to do what they did, that's your own opinion. Now, granted, I am curious, what it is that any of y'all think about this kind of thing. Because, again, I'm trying a different format here so you guys can see me and you guys kind of see how I'm reacting to things. And being able to see how I do this kind of thing. So, for like the YouTube thing, it's kind of like, I love that y'all like to take the time and listen to me and everything like that. If you do listen to me rant and ramble and all that kind of stuff. But I've been kind of wanting to get like comments and stuff like that. So it's like, it is that kind of like, I'm going to kind of push that YouTube thing in a little bit of a way, because of the fact that it's like, I want to know what y'all think, and I know with like the podcasting type of stuff, as far as like, you go over there and you go to Spotify or Apple Music or whatever it is that you're listening to on, that there's, just the whole review system type of thing. Whereas like with, YouTube, you can go over there and you can go comment and stuff like that. And I know YouTube doesn't really promote a lot of kind of, this kind of stuff, unless you're like at an actual company doing this kind of thing, like major company doing this kind of thing with tons of other stuff out there. A lot of YouTube stuff gets, kind of sanctioned off and not put out there because, they don't really want to, push the horror genre or true crime or anything like that, because it's not advertiser friendly. But I don't make money off of this. I don't make any kind of money off this at all. I'm working on that. Let's just say I would love to be able to make money just doing this and talking with y'all all day long about horror stuff, because it's a passion of mine. It's an absolute passion of mine, talking about horror stuff and just horror in general. So it's like I do these kind of podcasts and videos and things like that for y'all, because there's tons of us out there who love talking about this kind of stuff. There's tons of us out there who love experiencing all the horror goodness that is out there. And that's why I do this kind of thing. Because whether it's one of y'all listening or there's 10 million of you listening, I enjoy doing this regardless. And I'm very, very appreciative of the fact that y'all take the time to listen to what I have to say, listen to me rant and ramble. And whether it is a difference in opinions and stuff like that, when it comes to that kind of stuff too, I'm willing to have that kind of discussion. So if you listen to this on podcast, like Apple, Spotify, wherever it is that you listen, do me a favor, leave me a review. Let me know what it is that you think about this, and be honest about it with whether you liked it or not. Let me know, because I'm always looking for suggestions when it comes to that kind of stuff. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit the little subscribe button, the little notification bell, because I put out stuff, every single week. I need to really put some more of those little TikTok videos up there for the shorts, and that way, in case any of y'all who don't want to do TikTok, can actually see some of the stuff and get some of the facts and things like that I have. And, leave a comment down there too. Let me know what it is that you think, whether or not there's anything that you don't like about the way I do this kind of stuff, or whether or not you want to have that discussion about Ed and Lorraine Warren and paranormal stuff and whether or not they were frauds. I'd really love to hear, because, I want to have a discussion. I'm not here to, you can try and argue all you want. I'm going to have a discussion. And that's just what it comes down to. So if you made it this far, though, I very, very much appreciate you taking the time to sit here and listen to me. And, I will be back next week with another episode. Y'all take care.